we will start it. And we have a couple of citizens here with us tonight. Hello, citizens. So, Joseph, I know you filled out your form, so the floor is yours.
All right, well, thank you. Well, I'd like to report on the, let's say the current status of sustainability in the state of Maine. I've got a son up there and his wife, they've got 3 acres, and they have something called these milkweed plants in their backyard. Got 3 acres there, and we find all these little caterpillars all over the place from on our butterflies. So things are going well up there, and I've got some videos that everybody wants to watch them, but I've got videos of little caterpillars, and there's little greenish cocoons that have been bathed, and the butterflies will come out. And my granddaughter said the funny thing, she's 3.5, and we were explaining to her what all this is about, and, the caterpillar, the butterflies coming out. Well, I'm gonna sit and wait until it comes out. He worked out a long way, but things are going well, and I'm just glad to be back tonight to see how y'all doing. Miss you all.
Oh, me and you too. There's no other citizen comments, so before we move to the first agenda item, is it okay, Alex, if we have Jasper to?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a new committee member.
All right.
First meeting with us. So, this is Jasper. Jasper, you want to say a couple things about yourself and?
Sure. My name is Jasper. I moved to Farmers Branch in 2021. I've been in Texas for about, 18, 19 years now. I work at Samsung Electronics America, the mobile division in Plano. Also on the sustainability committee for that, for our business as well. So excited to see what we do here and kind of see where I can help, and excited to learn.
We're glad to have you. Welcome. And just a reminder too, that we have one spot still open, for an alternate. So I don't know if there's.
Yeah, they're taking applications.
Okay, they're taking applications. All right, so we'll move on to the agenda. First order of business is to consider approving minutes from the July 10th meeting and take appropriate action. Any comment? Any motion to approve?
I move we approve them.
I will second that. All in favor? Takes us to the second agenda item, which is to receive a staff update on sustainability initiative.
All right. Lauren covered my first 2. So welcome to Jasper. No, that's perfect. And yes, so Jasper is our alternate 1. We have 1 vacancy for alternate 2. So I think they're still taking applications for that. And so while it was on top of mind with the new members to all the committees, they had to attend the open meetings and ethics training that y'all had to do. So just kind of a reminder on those, kind of the best practices, no reply all, blind carbon copy everyone, so BCC on emails. So it's not a potential breach of quorum. All talk on city business, text, emails are part of the public record. So, that's something to be aware of. And as all the information, those videos, the trainings, the code of ethics handbook are on the board and commission webpage. So if you ever need a refresh on that, if that's out there, you can also ask me. You can reach out to the city secretary's office. So that's all out there. Last month, we had a question on trees and what Parks is doing for that. So they installed 137 trees in parklands last year. So they've got a fairly healthy budget for tree replacement, maintenance, and then some sod and bed upkeep is within that number. So I can't remember who asked that, but I got an answer for you. Water meters, another question. The residential is 98% complete. They are going back on all the routes to fix some of the various installs that had issues like roots, poor connections. And so that is aimed to be completed at the end of 2024. They don't have a map of the locations. They just have a list of that few addresses that they still need to hit because they had some issues on their initial sweep. Citywide, so residential is 98% complete citywide with the commercial. They're at about 80%. I don't know the timeline for that portion to be complete, but following up on that one.
So do they have to complete all the commercial as well before they can go live with the?
I think that's the plan for them to have it all set up to go live. That's the last that I heard. Lead for cities, we're in progress on that. The Seco LED grant at the rec center parking lot. All those fixtures were installed at the end of last week. I'm working on closing out that grant. I'm actually gonna be driving there after this meeting to check them out and make sure that they're working as advertised. Our facilities group was there this morning before the sun came up and they all look good. So I'm hoping that we have no issues with that. And that'll give the city, it's about a $25,000 expense that we only have to cover about 20% of. So total out of pocket for the city is about $5,500 maybe for that whole project, which is really good. They replaced the 28 pretty old mercury vapor fixtures with some really efficient LEDs with long lifespan warranties. So hopefully, and then the light should be targeted better so we don't have wasted light pollution. The EECBG funding through the Department of Energy, council approved the purchase of the Ford F-150 Lightning, which is the EV truck. So we're moving forward with the purchase of that. They'll get it outfitted and it'll be the new solid waste pickup truck. So that's replacing a 2006 Ford F-350. So we're going to be pretty good on fuel savings, obviously with that, and some pollution reduction on that vehicle. So they're also looking at purchasing some more EV trucks in the future outside of that grant. So I think their fleet is kind of getting the ball rolling with a lot of these. The Soul Smart designation, we're in progress with that. Planning is looking at the changes needed into the code of ordinances to give us to meet those requirements. Those changes will have to go to P&Z and ultimately to council. So it might take a little while, but they are working on that. We're still aiming for that gold level of designation for Soul Smart. Landfill solar RFP is still in review by legal. The active transportation plan, the project list of all the ones that you've seen on the map and that we talked about, some of the different ones at the community input session and the survey. That project list has been created. It has a ranking system for priorities based on, for certain things, the connectivity to city buildings, to destinations in the city, safety based on roadway speeds, different things like that. And all of those scores are then essentially kind of multiplied by the weights from the community input session and from the survey. So that's we listen to the community voices on that and doing what we can to incorporate that into the plan. So that's making progress. Water rebates, 96 toilet replacements have been approved and 9 irrigation checkup applications have been approved, including a member of the audience. Power switch signups until October 22nd. So we're taking the signups until then. The contract window is September 23rd to January 28th. So if your contract is expiring within that window, sign up for the power switch. Be sure to tell your neighbors. So hopefully they can get a 100% renewable electricity plan that's cheaper than the market rate. We had talked a lot about the water rebate items last meeting. I'm meeting with code and with code enforcement, with building inspections to go over some of those items from their standpoint on permitting, any issues or conflicts that might come up with building inspections or code so that I can get some more information and bring that back to the group. I'll be going to a Lights Out Texas workshop at the Cedar Hill Library on the 29th of August. And that's, I think it's a new building there that they have a bunch of the features to, mitigate light pollution, talk about the statewide program. So since that's been an initiative of the committee, I'm going to be attending that. There's a budget town hall for city council this Tuesday, Tuesday, August 27th at 6 p.m. at Mansky Library. So if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to attend, open to the public. Our compost event, Saturday, September 14th, that goes from 9 to 11:30. We have 8 signups, so we have 17 seats remaining. If y'all want to learn about composting, be sure to sign up for that. And yeah, we limited that to 25 folks just mainly for the outdoor session at the garden.
Do you need volunteers for that or is it just a sign up?
I guess if you just want to come and volunteer, that would be fine too. We'll talk about volunteers too, because for some of the future events, I've got the forms, if you haven't filled out a volunteer form. Even though you guys have already gone through all the background checks and everything for, this, you still have to fill out the form. If you've done it already, you should be good, but if you haven't and you're interested to volunteer at any of our events, I have the forms here if you'd like to fill those out.
I was just, because like, I want to go, but I don't want to take a
Take a
seat away
spot,
from
yeah.
a resident, so
I mean,
that's.
yeah, if you want to come to volunteer, I think that would be fine. I mean, if you want to sign up too, it's really up to you. You guys are residents. If you want to learn about it, learn it. Go ahead and.
Yeah, no, I know, you know, same with the tree thing, I didn't want to take it on away from someone else that might want to participate.
Yeah. Well, either one is fine.
Either one is fine, okay.
And this is residents only?
For the compost event?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what night did you say was the budget?
The budget town hall is Tuesday, August 27th at 6 p.m. and that's at Mansky Library.
And it's a town hall,
Budget town hall, yes.
okay, so we can talk about the.
Yeah, we'll have an opportunity to interact with council members. I don't know if they'll have a formal presentation or if they'll just have some of the boards up and kind of be scattered around.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a good way if you have questions or comments on the budget. Good way to talk to your council person, the mayor, elected representative. Household hazardous waste event, Saturday, September 28th from 9 to 3 at Senlac Service Center. That's dropping off paints, oil, that type of household chemicals. And then more events, shredding event, Saturday, October 12th, 9 to 11 at City Hall. And that is also the same time as our tree giveaway event. So our tree giveaway, the pickup date is October 12th. At Brookhaven, just down the road. We're gonna be basically in the same spot as last year, very similar setup with the drive-through event. Our registration for that is going to launch on September 24th, which is a Tuesday, I believe, at 12 o'clock noon. And so those have gone pretty fast in the past. We've got it to go out in an upcoming water bill, so it's going out in print, and then it'll go on our other electronic communications. So people know about the event. They're interested, we've seen the trees go within 4 hours. And we've got 200 trees. We've got the red buds again, desert willow, those are the two small ones. And then we've got Shumard oak and Texas pecans for the larger trees. So as a resident, if you guys want to sign up for that, and if you want to volunteer for that, I know a lot of you have in the past. So I've got the forms for, if you haven't filled out a volunteer form, we can get you set up, or if you want to help with any of these events. And then the last thing is our next meeting is Wednesday, September 11th.
Thanks, Alex.
It's a lot, thank you.
Sorry, I printed it out. 2 pages.
I feel like we may need to revisit.
And the next item is discuss the initiatives of the Sustainability Committee and Subcommittee. So Alex did an excellent job of putting together basically a presentation on what we've done so far, which is really quite a lot in line with our strategic plan.
Yeah, so this will be a refresher for some of y'all. Jasper coming on, so I figured it was a good time to kind of talk about some of the work of the committee, kind of see where we're at, and then, as we move forward, we can kind of talk about, when we look and see what we've done. Like to get the committee to kind of discuss the subcommittees. We have some people that rolled off, we have a new member, so some discussion around that. But to kind of prep for that, so our sustainability plan, so that was one of the first efforts of this group is to get that, going. It was adopted in February of 2022. So focusing on kind of those 6 main areas there. And so very much the work of the committee focuses on, how does it relate back to our sustainability plan? And so within those, the 4 main focus areas, we have the goals there. Some of the accomplishments, our solar switch program, getting that started, still a little bit of work in progress, but it's a resource out there. Lights out proclamations. I should have updated for this year's photo. Sorry. The recommendation of solar ready and EV charging ordinances. I'm hoping we can bring that up again during the next code cycle. LED lighting retrofit grants. We just finished this one at the rec center. We did a large one at the Justice Center. So we got a lot of grant funding for that. Ongoing work, our bro zones, the promotion of the power switch and utility rebate programs. Those all kind of fall into that category there. Switching to transportation, since the group was established, we've installed 17 electric vehicle chargers throughout the city, including 4 that are for city fleet, and that's what's helping us now be able to purchase these electric vehicles, just because we have the infrastructure in place. We received grants for a number of those, and then the active work on the stakeholder input, the active transportation plan. So that committee was a good sounding board for that. Some of the other work, trying to get voices from other parts of the city. Ongoing work, additional purchase of electric vehicles, really trying to use federal funding for that if possible. So anything we can do, get grants, focus on transportation, that's what we're working on there. Natural resources. So the water rebate programs, those came up because of this committee. So we have the toilet replacement rebate and the irrigation checkup. So I kind of gave the update on that. Our greenhouse gas inventories, that was the first one that's ever been done for the city. And that was using the 2019 data. We're going to be doing in the next 12 months, a whole nother inventory based on 2023 data. So hopefully the plan is to do that every 4 years. We can hopefully see our emissions decrease over time. If we see it go up in certain areas, that will hopefully help guide the committee on different things to focus on. Installation of the hand dryers to help reduce paper towel usage, water filling stations. Those were installed in the city hall and a number of other buildings. Our tree giveaway program, we've done it twice. So we've given away 400 trees to be planted in Farmers Branch. It's an annual event, so we've got it coming up soon. So that'll make it after October, 600 trees that we'll have. And those are all native or adapted species to help increase our tree canopy. The nice thing is our slogan is city in a park. So trees are a pretty easy sell, I think. People seem to really enjoy that event. It's always one of my favorites. And then zero waste, this committee provided some good input on the procurement policy. So that's an internal policy as we purchase things in the city. It gives us some leeway that we can consider environmental factors, social factors, anything around sustainability when we're purchasing an item. Be as simple as, we're able to pay a little bit more for recycled paper, or, consider different things as it relates to sustainability when we're purchasing. So we do have a little bit of purchasing power as a city. So kind of trying to use our dollars to, be responsible towards the environment. Compost survey, the Built in Natural Environment Subcommittee was a big push of that. And through that, we kind of noticed the, lack of understanding, lack of knowledge on how to get started with compost. So henceforth leading into our September workshop, our Compost 101, increasing the waste stream diversion at CCC. We'll see what happens at the site, but we did put in some different waste streams there that we were diverting from the landfill. So concrete, textiles, grease, that was all added from the time we started this committee. And then the participation with the household hazardous waste, keeping those items out of the landfill, shredding events, providing a recycling opportunity for folks with that.
Hey, Alex.
So that was a real quick version.
Yeah, when did they add the textile?
The textiles has been there. It's in that tall blue. It's through WorldWear project. And it's like a tall blue. It looks like a big mail. It's kind of like you put it in and kind of lift it back up and it all falls down in there. It's kind of hidden between.
I don't know if that's on the CCC website or not.
Well,
I'll go and check.
I feel like it's a little bit not misleading, but confusing, because it's not really recycle, it's donating, like
Oh,
usable
it's not.
products. It's not
Oh, okay.
bring us your old bedding and we'll shred it and turn it into wall insulation. That's not what it is.
Oh,
So it's
Yeah.
it's basically like whatever you would take to Goodwill or something like that. Which is great,
Yeah.
but it's also just not exactly.
It was one of the options that we had. So
Sure.
there's not a lot of places that will take textiles and turn them into rags or carpet padding. So we definitely encourage folks, if you have really nice usable items, donate those to your church, your school, coat drives, that
Okay,
sort of thing.
once.
Oh, perfect. So that one is kind of more of a last resort to try and keep it from the landfill. So
Still diversion.
it still is diversion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's basically what we're able to do within our current market.
So with that, there's 3 subgroups that we currently have. And I know we've had Shelby roll off, Joseph is not with us anymore. We've got Jasper as a new Joseph roll off.
Oh,
Yeah. So with that, I don't know if it's a time for us to maybe realign some of the groups to recruit our newest member to the group if you see that, or if you want to keep plugging away within your own group, how you want to do that. Because right now, I think it's you guys on the communications. Yep. And then it's just you and Al,
just made out of water, yeah.
water. And then can you remind me which group you're on? Do
I was not in a group,
you want to be in a group?
possibly.
All right. Well, someone we get to woo 2 people within the committee right now. So I don't know, Val and I have been on the Built Natural Committee. So right now we've got those 3 groups. I don't know if there's any interest in, because if we have more than 3, we can't do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can't have 4 people on the subcommittee because that would
Okay.
constitute a quorum.
That's 3.
We could have 3.
So 3 is
yeah.
okay, but 4 is not. So I won't put you guys on the spot, but just if you're thinking about joining the subcommittee, or if there's interest in the 2 of you possibly forming a new subcommittee for an area that we're not addressing as much, maybe transportation, or I feel like zero waste. There's kind of some bleed into different areas, but there's interest.
Getting this stuff.
And I'll just say too, real quick, there's not a requirement that you need to participate in the subcommittee. That's kind of an optional thing, just that there's an additional area of focus. It's been helpful for the ones that we have because, it allows for some work to be done and we have an agenda item every time to convey the rest of that information to the group. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, so no pressure. But it is a way to check out different restaurants in the community with your fellow committee members at times. So I'll just put that on your radar in terms of thinking about if you guys want to do that. Otherwise, we'll continue with our subcommittees as is.
So there's not a discrete list of possible subcommittees we can kind of come up with our own?
There's 4 areas that we've kind of organized based on our strategic plan that we have. So there's natural resources, zero waste, built environment, and transportation. So there's some fuzzy areas. Sometimes maybe our priorities align, like I know we've had stuff between the built and natural environment where there's alignment there. Communications, definitely alignment with the water rebates and things like that. So there's some gray fuzzy areas, but transportation is one, and I would say zero waste is maybe one that maybe use a little love if you're interested. All right. I'll put that there. And then the next thing.
I have more questions on that.
Yeah, please.
Well, if I think of questions later, like who would I reach out to about the subcommittees?
Alex and I are probably the best for us to start. Yeah, we'll do that. So speaking of the built environment though, Alex has done a lot of work on urban heat issues. He's got a presentation for us.
Okay.
Right. I saved the conversation about heat until August.
So
when it's
smart.
really hot. All right.
Smart.
See if this will connect again. No. So I thought I was speaking intelligent. Technology proves me wrong.
Well, the biggest heat island in the area is the medical district, right?
In Dallas, yeah,
In
that's
Dallas,
one of the
yeah.
ones that they've modified.
Yeah, there's so much, it's almost all concrete and
Yeah,
like the
that's
only
true.
trees are maybe in some medians. It's so.
Yeah. Texas Trees Foundation, who was the supplier for our tree giveaway, they do a lot of work in that, and they're doing a huge dedicated thing just all on that Southwest Medical District. I'd recommend.
Oh, okay,
You
cool.
can Google that and see some pretty cool stuff that they're looking into. So urban heat, it's 100-something degrees outside. It's hot. But it's hotter in cities because of the materials that cities are made with. It's I used to do a lot of educating with kids on environmental stuff. So it's like, do you want to stand out in the Walmart parking lot at noon on an August day where it's hot asphalt, or do you want to stand in a park under a shade tree? It's something that we all kind of know about, but we kind of, it so well that you kind of forget about it. But there's a lot of impacts from, the way our built environment is, and given our geographic location in Texas, where we have these concrete structures, everything absorbing that heat throughout the day, radiating it out at night. So we don't have that kind of level of cooling that you might have in a more rural area. There's environmental issues with that. There's public health issues with that. Especially, there's a lot of studies where if it doesn't drop below 80 overnight, that can have some public health impacts. And then it also has economic and equity impacts. If your neighborhood is, Price mentioned that Southwest Medical District in Dallas is one of the hottest neighborhoods. If your neighborhood is really hot, that's going to increase your utility bills, your cooling costs, and that can, be a significant portion of your income going to heating and cooling your home just based on its location. So lots of issues within urban heat, other than the fact that you get hot and sweaty outside. This is a satellite image. This is through NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab of the DFW area. And this is morning temperatures. So it's 7:17 a.m. So this is where areas have not really cooled off. So the sun hasn't been out that much at 7:17 in the morning. So this is areas that are much hotter, that stay hot. They absorb that heat through the day, lots of impervious surface, lots of concrete, and really see the runways at DFW absorbing that heat. You can also see the water, the lakes. Water doesn't tend to change temperature as fast, so it stays warmer throughout the night. But if you kind of take that out, you can really see the roads. You can see kind of up towards Farmers Branch, our industrial kind of stuff there along the highway. You can kind of see these hot spots where there's higher surface temperatures than surrounding areas. So this can create some of those that I mentioned there. This was a pretty solid graphic that kind of shows, especially with impervious surfaces, our roadways, how much heat that they can, absorb and release to heat your kind of microclimate, your local environment. The materials matter. I kind of mentioned the, dark surface versus a lighter surface. A lot of people buy a lighter color car because it's cooler in the summer here. So, there's a lot of things on roofing. Our code now for commercial buildings has kind of a heating coefficient with it. But a lot of these buildings were built around here, it wasn't in that code. So that's why you see a lot of those white color buildings or roofs on buildings. Pretty common sense, reflects that, but that helps for urban heat, but it also helps for building utility costs. Trying to cool a building that's absorbing so much heat versus reflecting it, it makes for a big difference. And this is another kind of thermal image, the white roof, 110 degrees, all same day, same time. The darker color, the black roof, is 140 degrees. So you need some pretty serious attic insulation to offset that. Here's some other surfaces. So I've got some fun tools up there I can show off after the meeting. We have a thermal camera. We have a wet globe bulb temperature thermometer up there. So we can kind of get a sense of where we're at heat wise within the city. I did this last summer, actually, August 31st of last summer. It was 97 degrees outside. The darker asphalt on the left in the library parking lot was 138 degrees on the surface. Just that lighter concrete portion, the middle photo there, was 9 degrees cooler just from that different surface. So the surfaces matter. And then the green, this isn't the parking lot, a shaded spot, has a little bit of grass, 94.6. So huge difference based on the materials, based on shading, which leads me into the next thing.
But then the ambient temperature was 97.
The ambient temperature was 97 degrees on that. So
Water.
yeah, there was probably some moisture in the grass there. The importance of trees and shade. That's why we're doing our tree giveaway.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons for it. And so just to showcase the shade there, this is Rawhide Creek Trail. I did this again that same day as I was in the library parking lot last year. So we've got the cooler area, in the shade, big difference from the part that's in the sun. This is not mind blowing. Y'all all know this, but it just really kind of goes to show as we're thinking about different things, active transportation. So if we're thinking about people trying to move around the city more efficiently while walking, we're probably not gonna make too many sales in July and August. But maybe we can keep September and June in play to walk, to go visit a restaurant or something. But it has to be kind of, there's some intentional planning to go with that. And then just kind of on the shade here, we've got City Hall. The one on the left was previously in the shade, moved out to the sun, 115 degrees. So we go to the next side there, that one's actively in the shade, it's 102. And then the part that's been in the sun all day, these are all the same surface material. It's just depending on when the shade was on it, or if it was in full sun, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So these are pretty powerful pictures to me. And so pictures worth 1,000 words with when it comes to heat. And so there's fun applications with that little thermometer, and you see how cold, Price's drink is over there. But it also kind of paints pictures like these are some pretty hot surface temperatures that we have in the city. And then at night, it's radiating all that heat out. It's not cooling off, and as temperatures continue to increase and we get more impervious surface, throughout the region, we're going to experience these effects more. So future work on that. We're getting some maps on our tree canopy and impervious surfaces. I expect that to line up pretty well with our surface temperature hotspots. But we're going to get that information. We're going to do our continued tree plantings. I mentioned parks, planting 137 trees last year. Our tree giveaway, we gave away 200. I will say parks trees that they plant are a little bit bigger. They wouldn't really fit in the back of a sedan like some of ours. There's a potential National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Association, NOAA, grant for citizen mapping efforts. The city of Dallas has done this. I actually volunteered for it, and you basically have 3 shifts of drivers, one right first thing in the morning before the sun comes up, supposedly the coolest part of the day, a midday, and then like 5, 6 o'clock, kind of towards the hotter part of the day. And you actually can put these sensors on a vehicle. They you roll them up in your window, kind of like a pennant flag, I guess, and drive through routes. So they map the city, and that's what can tell some of the heat map areas. A lot of that is going to line up, I assume, with the tree canopy impervious surface. But that's an opportunity that we could have as a city to apply for that. We would need volunteers to do that. So that would be something that if we consider wanting to do that, have to figure out a good way to get some volunteers. I think we can probably do that with members of this committee, other committees, and just community members. Increasing awareness of the issue. I mean, it's hot. Easy to think about in August, but maybe not as easy in February. And then, like I said, trying to turn some of this awareness into action when we're planning, infrastructure. So thinking about the surfaces that we're using, and as we plan these different things like the active transportation plan, we do need to take into account thermal comfort, because no one wants to walk somewhere. You can't really walk to work and show up all sweating through your suit and expect to really feel great about yourself throughout the day. So yeah. And I guess one other fun fact I had read in the paper, I think it came out Monday, that Dallas has actually had one of these pilots where they do instead of a normal asphalt seal, it's a cool seal. So it's a lighter color. It kind of mimics the color of concrete. There's 2 of those there's one near Jesuit High School, one near W.T. White. So I drove by yesterday, and it was just between the sidewalk temperature and where the cool seal was about 10 degrees difference. So that's cool stuff. If y'all are interested, there's a lot of stuff going on in South California, Phoenix, and those portions of the world are dealing with higher temperatures than we are, which is crazy to think about. So lots of stuff to kind of consider, but I wanted to bring this to y'all. It's written out in the sustainability plan. We've really been focused on tree planting to do it, which is one of the most effective ways and more cost-effective ways to mitigate urban heat. But any questions that y'all have, just figure this would be a relevant topic given the month.
Was the bottom right picture the light coating versus the dark coating on the parking lot?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It gets tough.
Do you know what the current code is for commercial buildings? Does
I
it?
can look it up. It has to be a certain reflectiveness or albedo on those roofing. So, yeah. So you have to, when you look at like a satellite image, Google Maps, you'll see some of the newer buildings have that white color, roof. Ted, you probably know a better, kind of material of it. It almost looks like a rubber kind of latex covering versus the asphalt or even the tar paper or the rocks or something like that. So when we put a new roof on the library or the rec center, it's one of those, it's up to code. It's that reflective roofing, and then we have the solar panels on top. So it's not the tar paper, and that you get quite a bit of energy savings by having that reflectivity. It's not just soaking up that heat all day and pushing it down into the stacks of books and computers.
And what about the code for, like permeable surfaces residentially? I know there's something in the code about if a commercial place does it, they can get maybe more parking spaces or
Yeah,
some
there's
kind of
stormwater.
incentive to do that. Is there any?
There is stuff in the code that allows for permeable pavement, like driveways and different things,
Mhm.
but I don't know if there's any incentive type or requirement for it. It just allows for those types of things to be conducted.
Hey, Alex, or Val got kicked. Can you, see if you can get back in? There she is.
Perfect. All right. So,
So I was curious of that first slide, it showed the different areas. And I understand like urban, suburban, not the next one up. That's like technically maybe we're suburban residential, but our temperatures are more like urban residential. I mean, we're staying pretty close to what downtown experiences.
yeah, I mean, and the ones on there, I don't remember exactly where they took those average temperatures from, but Texas or somewhere else.
Sure.
But we definitely have parts of the city that represent, are, much more similar like downtown.
Yeah.
Dallas or a warehouse district, and anywhere really.
Yeah, we are.
We have some
close to-
areas that are residential.
And we're really close to the North Dallas industrial areas on Harry Hines and everything, right? It's just straight.
Right, well, and I mean, like, we've got two massive highways, right, that we're
Right.
stuck, and they're all expanding to like 6, I mean, it's just concrete jungle around us.
Mhm.
So it feels like even though we're suburban, we're really more kind of like urban residential.
Mhm.
And then slide 3. I'm having a hard time, like, can you kind of maybe
Yeah.
put the cursor over where we are?
Go back to the screen.
A little,
You can see where 635 cuts across.
yeah,
Really,
That's probably the easiest
way. Yeah, you can't.
183 was just like.
maybe you can see it. I'm like, thinking very hard.
That's true.
So I believe, is this the 635?
Yes.
Across here?
Yeah.
So then this.
You'll see that.
Did you see that?
So like right where that thicket of red is, like.
Yeah, that
that's-
would be 635 and 35.
Yeah, so I mean, like, we're right there. And so even though we're in the park,
Mhm.
technically, we're in the middle of just this huge.
You see the red spot above that huge dark line? That I think is Josie Valley View.
I lost my-
Vanna, I'm gonna need you to get up close there.
Here?
So you think that's us?
I think that's Josie and Valley View.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, well, that's not as bad.
So you can see, I mean, if you think about how our city is set up, we've got, a lot more
Yeah,
residential in the center and, more commercial on the east and west side. So you can really see how
Yeah.
the trees cooling in the residential portion
Yeah.
makes a large difference
Yeah.
there. So that's further evidence that justifies, hey, we need to plant some trees out here.
And we got a lot of pavement at that four corners.
and that's what my next question was gonna be in the, from the conversations that I've heard about doing a street, relaying out the street, especially Valley View. it didn't seem like there was a lot of appetite for narrowing the road and adding in a lane, like a tree line or a grassy place or
Mhm.
anything like that. So it seems like that would be a real challenging area to try and figure out how to pull it off. And then like, well, the west side is just, it used to be all prairie and now it's a lot of trees, a lot of young trees that aren't matured yet. How, oh, we said this is,
So it's 2022.
so it's 2 years older.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I think one of the other things to kind of think about when we tie this back is the landscape ordinance and the tree preservation ordinance that planning was working on,
Mhm.
kind of the importance of that. 'Cause I think even within the landscape ordinance, they were talking about commercial parking lots of a certain size had to have a certain number of
Yes,
tree
they were.
wells and different things. So that's another thing to consider in addition, and new developments have to have some, trees and landscaping requirements, but
And commercial,
you brought up a good point though, and like, if, you want to have an area where someone can walk, you might have to eat into some lane or something like that to have trees as an amenity.
because I mean, like from my house to where the restaurants are, I could get mostly there in the shaded area. But then once I get past, right up by, before the Water Tower Theater, Firehouse Theater, I mean, that's just all, that's like right down the middle where it comes over. It's kind of just all bare after that.
Yeah.
So, and then that continues all the way over into the west side, all the way over to the nature preserve even. It's not any coverage for that street.
Yeah.
Does it tie into the stormwater or wastewater at all too, or just like the permeable surfaces?
I mean, I think it does have a connection to it, but, trees do slow the velocity of stormwater and they can do some of the filtering of it. So it does, it has some water quality benefits from filtering stormwater pollutants, but it also reduces stormwater velocity. So, you don't have a ton of runoff going into the road and then you're trying to drive and you're shooting water everywhere.
Yeah.
As it's raining or runoff is coming in faster than it can go down the storm drains. So yeah, this ties in exactly with that green infrastructure, and stormwater for sure. Grow zones, yeah.
Yeah, because even though like it would help with the streets, like the creeks, all the creek system that we have, by this time of the year, it's like just like at least near my house, it's just like the Gabion baskets or whatever those are called, the rock, like all you can see is the rock and the chicken. There's
Yeah.
no water. But when there is, it's hot, it gets algae, it gets mosquitoes, it gets, because it's also not cooling. Grow zones would be nice, especially around that area.
Direct UV does keep mosquitoes. For a long time. Straight off.
Yeah, that's
If
true.
you shade it off.
That's a good point, touche. But if you like strategically, shade it, I don't know. So go ahead. Is there, has anybody on the city council or besides you on the staff expressed any concern, interest?
I mean, I think the overall is the canopy is where their conversations are, is on the tree canopy. That might be driven more aesthetically. But that's kind of why I wanted to start the conversation with this committee, because I feel like it's something that we're all aware of, but we aren't necessarily taking the action that you would think, if you read about it and, just kind of in the last few days, I've got news articles here, just Dallas Morning News. I mean, it's on the front page and it's things that, we don't really consider unless we have that streak of 100-degree days. So, yeah, starting the conversation here and knows who sees and decides, that this is important. It might be a subcommittee thing that we want to take more action on, try and expand our reach with it. But yeah, just starting with my favorite folks out here.
Would there be any appetite or willingness to let us maybe pilot something?
I think so. I mean, we did go and look at the plastic, recycled plastic pavement at UT Arlington.
Yeah.
You know, we have our public works director retired, but we have a new one, and I'm sure that they would be interested in this. Like anything that we do, we build a sustainability case for it. And luckily, we aren't the first ones on this. Like I mentioned, there's two kind of small exhibits in Dallas that have it. San Antonio's done, I think they've done one in every council district, and they did a whole research project with UTSA. So there's regional examples, so it's not just LA and Phoenix or something like that. So I do think that there's an appetite for it on some of the slide with the kind of the cool pavement type stuff, the cool seal. It does provide a different level of, you know, it's a lot cooler surface temperature. Some people complain that when it's reflecting up, it's actually warming the person walking on it. Many people are walking on the street, in my opinion. And it does fade over time. So the effectiveness kind of does decline a little bit. Freshly poured asphalt that's dark, you know, black, that fades over time and increases reflectiveness. That one fades over time, the cool seal, and actually increases. But I still think that there's enough of a gradient of difference that it would be worthwhile to look into something like that.
Well, would there be an appetite for maybe a pickleball court with a pool thing surrounded by, thinking like if we're doing the pickleball thing again, I don't know if we're hosting it again.
I think so. We are in November. We're parking lot for it.
I was gonna say, it would be really cool to have a demonstration.
Yeah.
I don't know, that might be too far fetched, but
I mean, I don't know on their official courts if they have to be a certain color or something, but I'm like a recreational one. I mean, perhaps the thing that might be the issue is if it is reflecting more up, if you're standing on it, I've been kind of walking on the street. For the street, it doesn't really matter because it's reflecting up going. But if you're playing on it, it can't be that much different than concrete, truthfully. But maybe it's more of for a pickleball is adequate shading or something too. I don't know. But yeah, these are all good ideas for us to
I
consider.
think this is a great idea. It's such a big thing right now. So,
And one of the things with the little tool on the right there, the orange one, that wet glove bowl temperatures, that one incorporates wind, it incorporates everything. So it does heat index. So, you know, factors in humidity, that, you know, wet glove bowl temperature is what, you know, like a lot of schools, districts use for like extreme heat for like 2-a-days and practices and stuff like that. So that can kind of give more of a sense of how the human body actually feels versus, you know, surface temperature. So maybe what we can do is kind of look and see, you know, have some, and, you know, some surface temperature on a pickleball court and the heat index. And then maybe try to see, okay, well, what if it's this lighter color? Does it really make you feel that much hotter because it's reflecting more? Because you're still going to have it's going to be better for the urban heat island as a whole, but we want to make sure that the user is not hurting. But there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for citizen science with this too. We've got some, you know, just very simple surface temperature thermometers that we can rent out, and people can do some, you know, couple recordings in their neighborhood or something like that. And we can maybe look at having some of the students, you know, do a project or something like that. That might be cool to get something going.
partner with our green team.
Yeah.
I think also, you know, about concrete, I just cringe when I see these people walking their dogs.
Yeah.
Do you know how hot that is?
How does Parks decide where to plant a tree?
That's a great question. I think a lot of it is like where they've lost one in the past. So it's like a replacement thing. I think they do consider if there's already irrigation on the site or if it would be easy to water without, you know, kind of having a tank in the truck kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they have a strict process on, you know, we've got 100 trees that we're going to plant and 32 are going in this park and something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting because if we have kind of this heat map,
Mhm.
like maybe we lost trees over here, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, you know, it's much hotter and there's fewer trees or younger trees or,
Yeah.
you know, something like that.
And
And
that's,
since they are investing, you know, not a lot of residents have the disposable income to go and buy 10-year-old trees or however old
Oh,
they're
yeah.
buying. And so like, that's great. Like Cedar Elm in the last one, but it's gonna be small for a while.
Yeah.
So,
But I think if we get those maps and GIS is the data, they're in the process of making the maps for us on the tree canopy and impervious surfaces. So I guess the tree canopy is done with LiDAR. I don't know how they do the impervious surfaces, but so they have those, the data, they're building the maps for us right now. That's something I want to use to kind of try to make data-driven decisions.
Right.
So we can share that information with parks and say, hey, the northwest portion, you know, this neighborhood here, really low tree canopy. There's a park right next to it, you know.
yeah,
Well, you know, maybe we try to market our tree giveaway towards that neighborhood and you make sure they're aware of it. You know, and then they can plant in the park at the same time and kind of try to even out so not one part of the city is super green and the rest is concrete.
right.
But I think that's kind of the goal, is to try and use the data to make make the case and
Mhm.
have an informed decision.
And I don't know, like, there's anything, and it feels cooler to me when I walk on like maybe it's crushed granite on the trails and some of the parks. Versus
We can find out.
Okay. Like, there's not a tree canopy, but there's
Yeah.
that once I walk around in the granite. I don't know if it's cheaper too, but that might also.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is it's like permeable too.
Yeah.
They try to use some of those and it's cheaper than concrete. So,
No, that decomposed granite or whatever.
That is,
Yeah,
something.
it's permeable, stuff can
Mhm.
trickle down. Selling the water.
Thank you, Alex. This is a lot of work. So we will put our thinking caps on for ways to incorporate it on top of what the ideas you've already given. So great.
So when will the maps on the tree canopy and pervious surfaces?
I'm hoping I'll have them by the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
They received the data, the GIS, they get like a data, they do a data request every year. They ask all the departments what type of data, you know, they need for some of their stuff. So those are the two things that I requested. Just so we can kind of start to see where we're missing some of these things, see where, okay, we've got a ton of impervious surface here. What can we do to have some tree canopy to offset?
Yeah.
So they have the data. I think they're in the process of turning that data into the usable maps.
Information, yeah.
So I'm hoping we get that by the end of the month.
Sweet.
So if I get it in time for our next meeting, I'll bring it here.
And I don't know if this is true or not. I came across an article from a couple years ago that said we're actually a tree city designation.
We are, yeah, we've been a tree city for 40 years.
There's a thing right on
There is.
there's a sign on
That.
this road. One of these right here from where before you get to the campus, I think, because it's like the size of a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And so it's not, you know, when you're going 30 miles an hour, it's not really like, okay.
And I think Brookhaven campus is also. tree city, yeah. I was just doing one of our GIS very large. See if we have a deep map of our campus.
I like the new website. I was wondering if we can, like, when people land on the sustainability page, can we put like some badges up there, like Tree City, lights out, blue, 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 the things that were like,
Yeah.
some,
Kind of like the moving banner.
something, just some kind of little,
Dude, our
because that spotlight on you on the branch review, if you haven't read it yet, it's a lovely read. Really outlines a lot of I mean, like, that was a lot of stuff. And you've brought in a lot of money to the city
I try to
to,
bring the economic portion.
to like help offset any costs or, you know, whatever. And I think it's important that we highlight that in as many ways as possible, by as many avenues as possible. Not to mention all the hard work we've done.
Hey, you've given up 36 Wednesdays of your life for her to come to meetings.
That is true. But you brought us this food, so it's fine.
All right, I'm gonna move us on to the next item, receive subcommittee updates. Built natural environment, from our end, it's really just been about the composting, event, but I don't know, thank you to everyone that weighed in, the CCC items, spoke up, excellent. I don't know if that, has come up in any other council meetings lately.
I don't think anything has changed.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Thank you for doing that. An eye on the policy. Communications updates.
I don't really have an update right now. Yeah, I don't really have an update right now. Nothing to report.
And water conservation.
And they will not,
Everybody's on summer.
I know it's.
Yeah.
That's
Totally
totally
fair.
fine.
and, what, did they give a kind of a completion-ish date for the meters?
So the residential was end of year. I don't have a date on commercial.
Okay.
And is there, I mean, I'm asking you just because this is is there any kind of funding or grant that we could try to wrangle to support, to offset the cost of those triple P?
So,
Some kind of municipal recycling?
80,000 is.
well, we also were awarded a grant to put a building out there. So we would potentially give that back to close the site. So there is solid waste funding because we did get grants for the site. Typically they're for upgrades or starting a site. I believe if I recall the application correctly, I don't know if they would cover the cost of ongoing staffing. That's kind of the,
Is that the
That-
issue, the like ongoing staffing?
that's the main portion of that line item is the salary for
Yeah.
the staff.
Guy they have there, they're good.
Well, the last time was really good, Nigel.
Yeah, I think it's still there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't there the last time I went, another guy.
Vacation, but
Maybe.
yeah, so that's the main portion of the expense, and then there's the holiday costs for some of the specialty items, so like the compost, electronics, some there's a small cost associated with that.
Alex, do we have like a breakdown of what costs what to operate at the CCC?
I can probably find that for you. It's probably hidden actually in the budget somewhere, like,
Yeah.
I don't know how refined it is. I do have all the breakdowns on the tonnages. So I could probably look and see based on that, I could probably at least get you an estimate.
Because I'm just thinking if there is some way to at least keep part of it, if they're gonna scrap it all, it'd be nice to keep the most cost effective parts
Yeah,
and not violate our grant. Something, you know.
yeah.
I mean, they discussed like changing the library hours or changing the rec center hours. I mean, I know it's only open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but you know, maybe you only have it open Friday and Saturday, or I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean,
If they're even open to suggestions, or may already be a decision that's been made.
yeah, I truthfully don't know on that. But if that's something, I mean, I'm email your elected official, councilperson, your mayor, and then the budget town hall on the 27th.
Yeah.
That's a good opportunity there to kind of, Lisa, I mean, I know you told me like, hey, I picked up a TV that my neighbor was throwing out.
Yeah.
And I took it over there, so. I mean,
Yeah,
just because they might not have a awareness of something. you know,
right.
The personal story or the,
Sure.
this is how I use it, and it's something that I think is good for the community, so.
Yeah.
I would probably recommend going through that avenue.
How much was that grant?
Let's see. 20,000, I'm not sure. It was a North Central Texas Council of Government Solid Waste. But hasn't been officially started yet. It'll be at the start of fiscal years when we can start doing work, so we'll see.
Yep, there it is, 1,000.
All right, the next item is to receive an update from committee members on activities attended.
No.
Everyone's staying in the air conditioning. Val, do you have any updates on anything you've attended sustainability wise?
Not this month.
I have just one thing, it's not really an activity, but I went to, Yellowstone. And we stopped at a brewery on the way back home, before we flew out. And there's a poster was there and it's, protect our waters. It has a QR code where you just scan it and it brings up all sorts of stuff about protecting Montana rivers and things like that. So putting this out there as a potential idea for us to maybe copycat if there's interest.
Could we do something like that with like Bankhead or like one of the local restaurants?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if our partnership works with private companies, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some opportunity.
Do it not, in the city, there's that. Course. Just like neighbor market things that we get.
Right, but there's not really a lot of venues whereby the city is hosting where you're sitting down and having a
All right,
drink.
is it? Yeah, that's with you.
That's a kosher.
Just our banquet.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, but that's what I'm saying, like, if we could start a relationship with the restaurants or
Yeah.
something that,
Some sort of green business kind of collaboration.
Do we have a date? Had to miss it last year, can't remember.
Any other? Thing? If not, I'll move to the last item on the agenda. Okay, agenda items for future sustainability committee.
It's the free wilding still for the,
Yeah, I'll see if I can get us an update on grow zones and see if they've had any traction with that in parks. I know that they've been swamped with budget, they had a lot of requests on, you know, how much would we save if we, you know, did that. So they might have gotten a little bit delayed on that, but that
is
is
that like
on,
our biggest department?
it's pretty big, yes. Parks, police and fire, I would think. probably.
Yeah.
So I will see if I can get us an update on that for next month.
Alex, if they were to shutter CCC, how fast would that happen?
The new budget would take effect October 1st.
Okay, well then, I guess I have a potential. If the worst happens and they do shutter it, Dallas College is trying to have e-waste and shredding events at campuses partnering with the city. So if we were to find out by August 27th, do you think we have a shot at getting something in a water bill mailer before the tree giveaway to promote something like this?
Probably not, because I already had to submit the tree giveaway items for that, for it to come out before then. So, but that is something that we are talking about staff, like when I found out that this is a possibility, is can we offer some sort of electronic recycling outside of Triple C? So maybe that's in conjunction with our shredding events. And then I talked with Sonia the other day, and she mentioned the same thing that you did, that y'all are trying to do those at campuses. So we would definitely promote that and see if we can.
What about
Yeah.
social media? What kind of head start do we have to have for?
Social media is pretty quick. We get a nice turnaround time. So the water bills are one, you have to get those in like 2 months. It's crazy. They print them so early and then they send them out before the month. So you get like October's water bill starting in September 10th or something like that. It's kind of. But yeah, e-news and e-news is on basically like a 2-week, 2-week notice, and then social media can be pretty instant almost.
Okay, that's nice. Good to know. Oh, I hope it doesn't come.
Any other agenda items?
Does that count as an item? Intentional?
Yeah.
No.
yeah, like.
This is true. All right, Doc. Well, if there's no other discussion. Adjourn.
So moved.
Moved.
I'll second it.
All right. Meeting's adjourned at 7:34.
I didn't get a chance.
No, do we
Check.
have to do? I'm sorry. Yeah, 10. You would have texted. All right.
Just call it aye. I think it's-
All right. We're adjourned. I don't have a gavel.
Thank you, Val.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
Oh, and welcome, guys.
That's really it.